hours away from a critical hearing on the fate of a Maryland man whose deportation to El Salvador has set in motion a growing fight between the Trump administration and the judge demanding that they facilitate his return. The government telling the court ahead of the hearing they lack the authority to bring back Garcia, even providing the judge a link to footage from an Oval Office meeting yesterday between top Trump administration officials and the president of El Salvador.
That's up to El Salvador if they want to return him. That's not up to us.
The foreign policy of the United States is conducted by the President of the United States, not by a court.
Of course, I'm not going to do it. It's like, the question is preposterous. How can I smuggle a terrorist into the United States? I don't have the power to return him to the United States.
Mr. President, you said that if the Supreme Court said someone needed to be returned, that you would abide by that. You said that on Air Force One just a few days ago. And they said that it must be facilitated.
Why don't you just say, isn't it wonderful that we're keeping criminals out of our country?
Joining me now, MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin. James Sample is a Hofstra University law professor and former attorney at the Brennan Center for Justice's Democracy Program. Let me start with you, James, because I wonder what you make of those arguments.
I find them absurd. I mean, these two individuals cosplay as strongmen, and yet think about how weak they are actually being. On the one hand, the President of the United States, the most powerful individual in the world, is saying, I can't do anything. This individual, Mr. Abrego Garcia, is now in the hands of a foreign sovereign. My hands are tied. And he's literally sitting there in the Oval Office with the president of that other country, President Bukele, who's saying, there's nothing I can do. What would I do? Smuggle him into the United States? I would need the permission of the United States. There is a court order saying to the President of the United States and to the administration that you need to facilitate the return of this individual. And there's not even at this point any indication that the President, who was sitting right there in that video in the Oval Office, has even requested assistance in facilitating that return.
So, Lisa, that brings us to this hearing that is coming up. It will be the first since both the U.S. and the Salvadoran administrations indicated they are not going to take any steps, as we just saw, to bring them back. So what happens now?
Well, I think Judge Zinnes of the Maryland District Court has some tough decisions to make. In particular, Chris, today, Abrego Garcia's lawyers filed something in which they pointed out what James just said, which is you ordered them to take steps to facilitate his return. They have done nothing to tell you what they have done, and if anything, they are shirking.
That's it, right?
They are shirking Your Honor's order there, and I'm going to read from their filing. There is no evidence that anyone has requested the release of Abrego Garcia. In the meantime, Mr. Abrego Garcia's lawyers are also pointing out that there is an ICE policy, that's Immigrations and Customs policy, that is in place. They don't believe it's been revoked yet, where even though it might not be applicable in this particular circumstance, it talks about situations in which people who are contesting their orders of removal are sent and deported to another country. And it talks about ICE's responsibility to facilitate their return if and when they get an order from a U.S. appeals court or the Supreme Court demanding that. And in it, they talk about what it means to facilitate it. It makes it clear in no uncertain terms that ICE's own construction of the word facilitate goes far and beyond what Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, has said it means, which is solely to provide a plane and have it ready on the tarmac if and when someone like President Bukele wants to, quote unquote, smuggle him back into the United States. The fact that nobody pushed back on that and said it wouldn't be smuggling, because of course we would accept him here because we've been directed by our Supreme Court to do exactly that, was insane to me as someone watching that live yesterday.
Well,